Trail Hiker Center training orientation. Welcome to the Trail Hiker Center orientation. I don't really do the editing stuff, so that's as good as it gets. Let's open in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessing of this ministry and the way you are moving in our community and in this town through this building that we're sitting in. Lord, that your Spirit dwells here, that hikers find respite here, that you have called so many folks in this community to serve here. As we are your hands and feet this summer, as we welcome others into our community and into our common life, we ask that they might feel the blessing of your Spirit, that you might move in us, that we might see ourselves with a common vision and a common hope, and that all might know us as your children, all those who come through these doors, that they might feel your love and your grace and your acceptance. We pray all of these things in your Son's name. Amen. Thank you for being here. I think every year we get a little bit more organized, not too much, but just a little bit. John Edson wants to push me. He wants me to be very organized, but we're like the yin and yang. But that's okay. That's good. We have a number of bits of information to go over. I'm hoping that this will be everything you need to orient yourself for a summer of ministry here. This video will be available online on the YouTube page. We'll be taking the content from this, and a manual will be sort of put up, or a guide will be put up that'll have the same information, just sort of in a reduced form, in a bullet form. You are always available, or you're always welcome to call me, except for on Mondays. I'm trying to avoid that. And then a few other people who really sort of function as points of contact for the Hiker Center as a whole. So the first that you should know about is John, because John actually has sort of been our sort of central hub of communication. John, I would ask him to stand up, but he's kind of gimpy with a broken leg. So just raise your hand if you don't know John Itzen. Just retired from TCU in their IT department, and now he's our IT department. Marcia, who has helped in the past and will be involved in scheduling in the future. She was a major part of our organization last year. And this year, and maybe next year, we'll see what happens. You all know our ministry intern, Chloe, and she will be there sort of shepherding a number of the things in terms of the scheduling for the hiker host, working with Marcia for that. And then the last one is Silas back here. Silas, raise your hand, who, as you know, is my son. Silas actually does a lot of behind the scenes. He's the opener and closer when I'm not around. Often I send him as my messenger. I like to say he is the assistant to the regional manager, if you know the joke. So those we five form sort of the core function. You'll see us coming in and out for various reasons. You'll see us covering shifts. If you ever have any questions, those 5 people can track me down, or 4 people can track me down to answer if they're not uncertain. But that sort of forms our sort of core team. We have other people who have been very prominent in terms of serving or certain aspects of the Hiker Center, and we'll highlight those as they come along. This is our for those who don't know. Yeah, John.
I was going to say, if you email to trailhikercenter@gmail.com,
yeah,
all 4 of us get an email.
There you go. It's like
one stop to contact us all.
Yes, so trailhikercenter@gmail.com. And that will be in the guide, and that will also be on the back end. I'll talk about more of these in a second, but you're each going to have, with your name on it, one of these. We ordered 100 lanyards. You're all going to have one. We'll put your name on it. On the back of it, it will have all of our numbers and that email so that you have a capacity to call any of us, and that'll be, you can take it with you. It's yours to keep, but when you come in, we'll ask that you wear it so that you are identified as a host. And if there's anything you have, question, any sort of thing, we'll put the code on the back of the door so you know if you arrive here on the opening shift, and that'll at least be your first point of contact with you. I went to a conference recently, the one I went into Kentucky, and this is where this came from. And I usually dump lanyards. I used to save them when I went to when I worked in the national office. I saved them, and I had like 2 Ziploc bags jammed full of them. I'm like, what am I going to do this? So I tossed them, so anyway, I should have saved them. But nonetheless, they had the schedule on the back tucked in there, and I thought that's very nice as going to a conference, not having to constantly look up things online or otherwise. For those of you who do not know the history of the Hiker Center, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a brief sort of retelling of it, in part for your own sake to hear it, in part the folklore of what we do, and you may very well have to share this with someone else. I get asked all the time how this thing gets started, and again, I'm going to write that up so you have a narrative of it just in a basic form. But in short, in 2001, we opened our center. We opened this building here for 8 hiker dinners. We averaged, or 2000, no, yeah, 2001. 21. I see my, I know. I will say in my defense, if you saw the Ring alerts that went off on my phone last night, they were probably every 5 minutes for a period of about 4 hours. So my mom lives with us. So last night was a horrible night's sleep. So that's consequently why my brain does not seem to be working today. So I apologize for my misspeaks. But in 2021, the year after COVID, and in the year of COVID, we were here and we saw the hikers come through, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I started asking, are we doing anything with them? And no one was really doing much. It was like there was a shuttle. In 21, we opened this building for 8 meals. We served probably 200 hikers, I think, over the summer. It wasn't a huge number. I just got on Facebook and advertised there and said, hey, we're a church, we're doing dinners. If you're here, join us. And we guessed. In 22, we opened the center from 9 to 11 and from 3 to 5. And so they were, maybe because we had AA in there, and we fiddled with the afternoon hours, but largely it was me. Some of you, I think, towards the end of the summer helped me a little bit, but largely that was just me with the camera hosting. When they arrived, I just came over here and said, hey, here's some coffee, here's the bathroom. And we probably topped around 400 that year. In close to, I would say maybe close to 500, but when we started taking a record that year, but there were more than, we weren't pushing it. It was just like if they saw it, they signed in. In 23, we upped the ante and we opened the Hiker Center from Monday to Saturday from 9 to 6. And again, largely that was me covering those shifts, and I just shifted my work over here. But that was then more people, and some of you ended up being hosts that year, just sort of spontaneously. I can cover this sort of, and that's kind of when we started putting that shift structure in there. And then we decided in 24 to open it 7 days a week, 9 to 5, because that actually fits a little bit more when we saw the hikers coming in. Last year, I would say 80% of our shifts were covered by folks in the church. The other ones were covered by John, Marcia, and myself. And so every year we've seen more and more involved. And last year, as I went through the list, we had about 90 people, a little over 90 people, it was like 92, I think, that were involved in the Hiker Center in some way last year. And in terms of our worshiping body, that's pretty impressive. That's a pretty solid amount of people who are involved and have a common mission and a common vision. So that's the short history of it. So I wanted to make sure you had heard that. The other thing I want to make sure you hear is with the why. Why are we doing this? Someone said, well, it's fun, it's nice, there are lots of humanitarian reasons to do what we do. We don't have to be Christians to do what we do in this Hiker Center, but we are. And this is an extension of our identity of faith, our identity in who we are as a Christian. I've said many times, and this will be in the guide, for me, the passage that really inspires what we do holistically, and I don't even remember the actual reference off the top of my head, but is God calling the Israelites to welcome the stranger. This is before the Ten Commandments were there, before the Levitical laws were there. They were called to defy the odds and to say, you're a stranger in my land, come stay with me. I don't see Clark here tonight. Clark, shame on you. But Clark, when I heard last night that he brought this guy and he's staying in his house, and I was like, are you okay? Are you sure this is and he was like, no, I'm great. And I love that. I love that. That doesn't mean you should all invite hikers into your houses. That doesn't mean you can't either. But I love the fact that we open our doors, we open our hearts, we open our time, ourselves, we share in meals, we share in conversation, we share in helping one another. The why we do it is because we're called to welcome the stranger, and we're called to defy the very things that the world tells us to be fearful of. One of the things I love about hiker ministry is that it doesn't distinguish between anyone. One of the things I had an issue with in terms of missions trips are they often objectify. Let's go to some poor person's house that can't afford to build an extension or paint their house, and there's nothing wrong with that physical labor work, but often, and in many trips that I've been on, at the end of it they bring the poor person up and we all meet them and they're like thanking, and we feel good about ourselves, and then we go to the amusement park on the way home and pat ourselves on our back for our great job. No one is objectified in this ministry. Rich, poor, male, female, U.S. citizen, non-U.S. citizen, and every other category in between. And that's the cool thing. We welcome whoever comes, regardless of who they come, because we're called to love, and whoever comes through these doors, we're called to welcome them in the Spirit of Christ. So that's our theological reasons. What we do, I want to go from the why, the what, to the how. What we do is we offer services to CDT and CT hikers. And if those are, I say to them, sometimes they get jumbled. CDT is the Continental Divide Trail that goes from Crazy Cook, New Mexico to Waterton Lake, Montana, if you haven't noticed our clocks up there. And yes, they are all in the same time zone. That's not my fault. I didn't invent the idea, nor did I invent where it started. So the CDT runs from those two continental points, and the CT runs from Denver to Durango for both of them. And you'll notice on your stickers it says CE and CW. That means Collegiate West and Collegiate East, depending on which way they go through the Collegiate Mountains. One's a little longer than the other, and they choose. The CDT does not have to follow through Lake City. We're one of the few places that have a trail town that are near another trail town. If you go to Salida, if you're hiking that way, you have to go to Salida if you want to resupply. This is the challenge we face in terms of our traffic, is if we were Salida, we would get every hiker. We have to compete with Creed, which is why I keep doing stuff over there. Man, those Creed people are rude. Come on, you can all get on social. You can get on social media, can't you? Oh yeah, at the bottom of this, it's going to say very small, killing Creed's hiker population since 21. No, but we're a place of respite. We offer, I think, actually four things I was thinking about. We offer hospitality. We open our doors. We provide amenities. That's us being hospitable. We ask for nothing in return, and I know you all know this. You see it over there. You see it in various places. We do not accept donations from active hikers whatsoever, even if they insist. And the theology behind that is that's what grace is: a free gift that requires nothing, expects nothing, wants nothing in return. I've often said, if I say, hey, Tony, Betty, you want to come over to my house for dinner? And they're like, sure. And then what happens after that? Now they feel like they have to invite me back to reciprocate. Which is why those of you who invited me over to dinner, I've never invited you back. I want to give you the gift of offering me theologically sound hospitality. And we'll get into the hospitality in a second. Second, I think we offer a safety net. I think for a lot of hikers coming into a church, coming into a building, coming into a space, we don't realize when they go into town, sometimes they're repacking their bag in the park and the wind is blowing and they're gathering their things and they're worried about losing things and the whole experience is stressful and anxious. When they come into a place like this is a place, not only because I think the Spirit dwells here, and not only because I think you have hosts who are Spirit-filled are hosting and are here bringing that, I think as they walk in and all of those things combined allows people to say, for this moment, I don't know how they camp out there all those nights. I mean, I'm a horrible sleeper in general, but I would be always fearful that some animal is going to come in, and not only that, but I think we're genuinely a place. We've now had 3 incidents over the last 5 years where we have provided safe haven for people who were concerned about others on the trail. We housed them and some people, and very quietly, in our members of our church, and we sort of kept them. Last year, as many of you remember, I don't remember what his name was, but there was a hiker who had, what was his name? Devin or Darren or yeah, something with a D. Red-haired guy, yeah. He was here for like at least a week. He was sick. Yeah, Margot. We were all bringing him meals. I was checking on him daily. I mean, like, this is a place, a safe haven. This is a place for young hikers to feel like they are safe for a moment. So don't ever disregard that aspect. We're here for assistance. We're here to say, here, let me help you find a place to stay where it's safe. Let me help you find what you need in your supplies or for food or you get a package. Let me give you a place to crash and charge your phone, which is one of the things they love the most. Because remember, in a town where there aren't hiker centers, they're saying, where can I plug my phone in where I'm not going to get yelled at? Yeah.
Not only gives them a recharge here, several of them over the last couple of weeks, it gives them a place to call their parents.
Yeah, I mean, they're, they go out here and they talk and it's quiet. It's a place for them. You know what, that honestly, in the years that we've done this, one of the things the hikers have said to me that they appreciated most was really being able, just a place to be able to open their bags. And pack and repack. And it's like they can shake out their stuff and they can actually dry out their stuff. If you're in Salida and you're just passing through, you don't necessarily have the capacity to do that. So assistance, a lot of ways we offer assistance, and I'm sure there are more ways than I can think of, but I'll list some of those in the guide too. I also think we offer a community. I think they're embraced by community. Every time hikers walk into a town, they wonder, do people like us? Do they not like us? Are they going to greet us? Are they not going to greet us? Are they going to look at us as vagabonds and not pick us up? Or will they have mercy on us and pick us up? I think that our hiker meals, they feel the sense of community, not only amongst themselves, amongst us. They see us working, they see us laughing, they see us sharing. They know that the community came together to bring this meal and put it together, and they feel that sense of genuine Christian community. And the last thing I think that we offer in particular is rest. In a ceasing, in a Sabbath way. They call it a zero on the trail. When they take a zero, it means they're going to take a day off. And we get a lot of hikers taking zeros here. Now, on the Colorado Trail, Toby, you can tell me, 130-ish miles till Durango from here? Is that what it's roughly? I think it's like a week's worth of hiking if you do it at a reasonable pace. This is often the place where they take a breather for that last stretch through. Now, the beauty of that is they're also pretty excited about it. Because, if they're like, maybe if they're in Salida or Center Monarch, they're like still trudging along, going through the mountains. They may not be as happy. But those CT hikers are excited to get back on the trail. But this is the place where they're like, I'm going to take a zero. And I'll tell you this, I didn't ask for these stickers. The CT Federation did that on their own. They love what we're doing. In fact, they are featuring us in their quarterly magazine this next year. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is what we offer in terms of like how the actual things that we offer. And what I want to do for this is I'm going to ask Chloe to come follow me around with this camera. But this is what happens in general if a hiker were to walk through that door or through this door, 90% of the time we go through that door. I usually welcome them. I said, have you been to the hiker center before? And they often will say yes or no. And if they haven't, I say, well, let me give you the tour. Not everyone is required. You don't have to go through every single number, although I do, because I think there's a lot going on in this room, and I want them to know what's available. So the first thing is right behind Bobby's head. Just lean forward, Bobby, a little bit. There you go. Number one is not by chance sign our guest book. We're trying to break 1,000. We had 974 sign in last year, and we're trying to break 1,000. I actually am going to put something that says that, so you can say, we're trying to break 1,000. Please sign in. And in particular around meals, make sure, the hiker dinners, make sure you're doing that. So to let them know, please sign in. 2, the first next thing we want them to know is everything is for free. Nothing. We don't take money for anything. Ever. If they leave it, we have a jar for emergencies. It goes in the top left drawer in there. Give it to one of the 5 of us. We'll make sure it gets where it is. If it's quarters, it can go over here, and they use those for laundry if they need it, although we don't have a laundromat, so it may be a moot point this year. But we don't take money for anything. If you are a shuttle driver and they want to slip you money and they give you a 20 at the end, then please bring that to us. We don't want that though. If they say, can I say no? Say no. We get donations. Last year in the fall, one person donated $5,000, another person donated $2,500. Another person donated just in the last month $1,200 to cover all of the gas. People are asking, I'm not even asking for money, and they want to give us money. So do not charge for anything. We can afford to host them. So that is, we stress that. We don't let them give anything. And sometimes I will say, if you want at the end of the year, if you think back on us and you want to give us money, sure, we'll take it then. But we're not going to take it now. Three, community donated toiletries and snacks. This is where any items, toothbrush, toiletries items that come in, this is where they go. Snacks, they come in various phases. Sometimes it's fruit, sometimes it's just bag stuff. If it comes from our community, it has to go here. If there's multiples of things, it has to go here. Do not put our community donation things in the hiker box, because a hiker will take all of them. That is a free-for-all. I dumped a 72 Kirkland granola bar one time. I came back from Denver, bought a big 72, dumped it in there. I watched one hiker probably take close to 50 of them. But that's because that's what is expected. So and there are in this closet, if you get more, they're sort of shoved in there, they're shoved in here. We should probably have a designated spot. But if you're ever out of something, there's some toiletries in the bathroom. Maybe this is a project if you're here, if you want to try to consolidate those and organize those. But we usually have enough, and all I have to do is put on Facebook, hey, do you have toiletry items? Can you actually bring them in? And we get it supplied overnight. One of the things that I will say, that I keep forgetting to do, but I'll say it now, is if you get into the practice this summer of saving the last 2 millimeters of your toilet paper, hikers love it. Just like 2 or 3 millimeters, like, probably 10 times, or, like this much.
Layers on the cardboard.
Yeah, just stop early. You're like, you know what, that looks good. Because they don't want to take a lot. They stuff those little packs in, and that's what they use. So, this summer,
Jason,
is there a sample one down there?
yeah, there are about 3 of them.
Oh, here we go, yeah.
I know I've
We
got
just
2.
put them in.
And I would say this is probably even a little much. You could probably go anywhere from about half of this down, because then they'll take multiple ones of what they need. They really don't want to take a lot of and they don't even, and they'll take them out of the bag, and they'll take the cardboard out, and they just stuck that, so they stick that somewhere. So this is our community donated. You invite them to take that stuff. The loaner bikes are outside. Right now there's 2. We will have 3 or 4 eventually. They have been returned every time. They're just right around the corner. There's no system. They can just take them and bring them back. If there's ever a problem, if there's a flat tire, let one of the 5 know, and we'll make sure it gets back. Laundry help. This is our solution to help with the laundry issue in our town of our laundrette closing. As you can see, there are 7 bags in 7 different colors here. We've already seen the system work. If a hiker comes in I think it says by 5, before 5, we want them to come in. And what's going to happen is that those of you who have signed up to be Trail Angel or Laundry Angels will go on a text list. And Chloe or I will text you and say, there are this many bags to the whole list. And then if Laura's like, I can grab 2 of those, she'll text back, I can take 2. And if there were 3 of them, then there would still be 1 available. And then you can say, hey, I'll take the other one. And then what we'll do is we'll just leave the doors open, because in a minute I'll tell you how to get, this is, if you don't know already, the lock on the outside is the zip code reversed. So 53218. And then you hit the button and it opens. And then to lock it, you just hit any button. But that'll be in the guide too, and it'll also be on the back of your badge. But these are 7 different colors. You don't have to take the stuff out. You just have to take the bag, stick it in your washer, wash it, stick it in your dryer. Do not use fabric softener. Imagine what would happen if someone had an allergic reaction and everything that we washed for them was in the fabric softener. And then all of the clothing for the rest of the leg of their hike. And so chances are laundry detergent, you'll be fine if you're using something standard, but please, please, please do not use any fabric softeners or anything. Just stick the whole bag in. You can take it out of the bag if you want. If you do that, please make sure you put everything back in the bag. because the last thing a hiker wants to do is go for the missing sock. I mean, for you at home, you might be like, well, I lost a sock, it'll show up eventually. But the hiker probably wouldn't be too thrilled. So that's that. And then we ask that it be returned by 9 the next day, just by opening. And it's how we're serving the community in a little way that we otherwise can't. So that's number 5. Number 6 are mugs and for tea and coffee, which we'll talk about in a second. But this is where they reside. If you're doing dishes and you're putting them back, they just go here. We do put them upside down because it's very dusty in here. Every now and then, if it looks dusty, take them off, wipe off the counter or wipe off the shelves. But they're there, and all of these can go in the dishwasher. You don't have to hand wash anything. So that's where those are. Number 7, down here, I might need to raise this, is our bag and body scale, and they know how to use them. That is probably one of the most used features, so make sure it's in the corner that you tell them there's body and bag scale. For those of you who don't know, this is not just the game library, this is also Chloe's office now. So if you need something, she might be up there. Number 8, I might reverse these numbers just so you know, now that I look at them. Number 8 is all of our socials. Our social media connection points. We are now on Instagram and Facebook as the Trail Hiker Center. This is our website, and this is our email, and this is also the email where you can reach Marcia, John, Chloe, and I. But this, you encourage them to say, hey, if you want to stay connected to see what's happening, that's where they can do that. Behind here, and this does not have a number, this is the secret number 8.5. It's like the 8.5 street. Well, no, this is like the 8 3/4 closet, like a little Harry Potterish. This is we put our hiker packages in here, and obviously some leftover snacks. This is not advertised because we don't want people getting in it. If a hiker says they have a package, roughly it goes from A down to Z. And when we bring those in, what happens is one of us go down on Saturday at about like 12:30, we get all the packages, and in the heart of the summer, this thing is packed. Thanks to Chris who put it in. But this will be packed full. You need to see their ID. And what I've asked them to do, which is on the website, is to put little markings, to put stickers. So this person will probably say, I have a Cabin Creek Brewing sticker. Well, if they tell me that, I don't need to see their ID because they know what they put on it. And that's helpful. So just some way, if you feel good and recognize, most of them aren't going to steal their own stuff. I mean, there's some others. But just, you don't want to be in a case where someone's looking for the package, we picked it up and someone else took it. So just be mindful of that. So this is the hidden one, and this just sort of magnetically opens and closes. 9, the restroom. We don't allow showering. And let me say this. If there was an emergency, you are all, as host, official host, able to make that discernment yourself. As a policy, our insurance does not want us to do it, but if for some reason someone comes in and they're covered with something and they don't know what to do, you can make that decision. Let me block off the bathroom, let me put you in there. I would ask you to put some towels on the floor in front of it because the tile is slippery, and that's part of the reason. And it's a handicap accessible shower, so it's a very low lip and water just comes out. We've had people shower there, the floor gets totally wet, which is why we said no showers. The bathroom is also your responsibility as you're hosting. If it is dirty, if the toilet is dirty, we clean it. There are wipes in there, not just for the hikers or whoever wants to use them. If you want to, someone sent us a big thing of wipes, and I'm like, let's use them. So wipe the counters, wipe something off. If the mirror has a splatter on it, take one and wipe it off. There's cleaning stuff in there. There's cleaning stuff in there for there. Every morning, if you're on an opening shift, you put new towels out. Those are in the drawers in the kitchen. Put new hand towels out, and that'll be in the guide, so you don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
Anything we need to help them or guide them with on, well, our ancient sewer system in this part of Lake City, right here, or?
No, I mean,
Okay.
I think they're pretty thoughtful when it comes to that, and they're not gonna shove stuff down a plumbing system. Now, I can't guarantee, you always have, you know.
But if you have wipes, it is always nice to say, don't flush those down the toilet.
Yes, and I think,
Do you all decide?
I think those might be flushed, but I never flush them, yeah. So in general, and if that becomes a problem, obviously, we'll have to
We've
do
got
it.
one template from our cabin down the street.
We haven't had a problem thus far in the years that we've been open. Number 10, hot and cold water. This is the best water in Lake City, in my opinion. It's the perfect temperature for drinking. I come over here sometimes in the day just to get, if I had to choose between going to my house for water or coming here for water, I come here. So that just goes like that. This is a two-step process, and the one keeps being erased by people's fingers, even though it's a Sharpie. If you do this, it doesn't do anything. You can't just hit the lever. You have to hit the top button and then hit the lever, and it will deliver 186-degree hot water. So you can burn yourself, not horribly, but a little bit with it. So just be mindful. This is plumbed, so it's constantly on, always heating, always chilling, always available. It's one of in ministry, the best purchases I've ever made. 11 is on this coffee machine. I'll give you a demonstration in a second of the coffee. We're gonna come back to that. Well, let's just do it now. If you can you all see? If not, swing around. What I wanna show you is, you all know how to make coffee regular-wise, right? Yes. We have filters for those. If you were going to make coffee, all of our coffee is being ground fresh. There's a little switch, a little white switch on the side of this grinder. You turn it on, and that's the sound it makes. And that delivers coffee into this hopper, which you can take the top off to see how much is in there. We're trying not to grind more coffee than we need so that it's always fresh. With our low humidity here, it sort of dries coffee out and it can get sort of old quicker. So then after that, there's a dosing lever on the side. For those of you who were here last year, it's the same mechanism as the espresso machine, but we're gonna do it into a bowl. And so you just hurt this lever and it will kick out that coffee, and then it will go in this. Now you can put that in a filter to make coffee with this. Or you can use our pour-over system, and I'll have more details in the guide for this. And I'm going to have a voice audio that you can listen to, and I'll walk you through the steps as it's going. But what's essentially going to happen is you're going to have the hiker put a cup in the bottom of this little contraption here. I don't have one here, but you have one over here?
I'm gonna get a mug.
You're going to need a mug. I'm not going to really make one. I don't have a mug. Here, we'll use this cup. It goes in there, a mug. Thank you. Yes, this one says, in case of emergency, ask for Jason. It goes under there. We will have a scale this week, and you will weigh the coffee. It takes 30 grams. You put 30 grams in there. You shake it around so that it's smooth. Before you started this process, you would have hit on the electric kettle here that has a gooseneck. You would hit this button, and it turns it on. And then essentially what you do when that's done and that's hot, you're going to take the coffee in here and you're just going to do a round circular motion. Keeping water in it, keeping the water flow, and it's all going to come down. It's going to drip through this little bottom part into the cup. It makes a beautiful cup of coffee. When you're done, you can take this to the trash can and you can shake it out, just sort of take out what you can. It's going to be leftover residue, and that's okay. And run that under the sink. This comes apart, so you didn't break it. If you pop that off, and we have 4 of these, and you'll be able to use them interchangeably. If they want milk in their coffee, because we don't have an espresso machine, we're using an Instant Pot frother. And you'll look inside of it, and you can see there's a minimum and a maximum in here. And I gotta tell you, I have played with almost every type of coffee equipment known to humanity. This thing is impressive. And so all I'm going to say for this is don't do more than the maximum, 1. 2, try it out. It uses very little milk, it'll conserve our milk, and it makes the most amazing foam ever. But you put that on there, and I'm sure you can figure it out. You lose this function there. This one is cold, so if you put whipping cream in it and whips it, and it'll actually make it, like whipped cream. The next one is low cream, just sort of a thicker cream. This one's high cream. And I gotta tell you, if you just put this much in there, it'll fill the whole thing with cream. It's absolutely fascinating. The last one is just heating milk. If they don't want the foam and they just want to heat a little bit of milk, you can heat it in there as well. So this is a 4-feature milk. Here's the other thing, is if you ever run out of milk for the refrigerator, and that's all we're gonna carry, if you ever run out of milk, you go down to the hiker center, go down to the country store, and you get some milk and tell them it's for the church. And our code is 650, and that will also be on here for you. I trust that none of you are going to do anything dodgy with that. Also, that's essentially it. They take their cup, you rinse it out. It's basically just a fancier way of making coffee. But here's the thing. It makes the hikers feel special. It takes a little extra time. When I used to do college ministry, I run these big college events. I mean, you probably heard me tell this story before. We were going to put all these sort of seltzer drinks in the sink with ice in them, and my colleague was getting just sort of LaCroix water, whatever, sparkling water, and I said, no, let's grab the Perrier water. He's like, no, that's 20 cents more, and I'm like, well, yeah, but watch. And so we get it, and when you do something little like that to make people feel special, when a college minister pulls a Perrier out of that ice bath and looks at it and says, ooh, same water, tastes the same, but in a little small way, in that moment, you made them feel valued. This is great. This accommodates their need for some caffeine and coffee. Fiddle around with this. You can't break it. And if you do, we can replace it. Look up pour over coffee online and read about it. Watch some videos. We can provide some videos. It's a simple way to make a hiker feel special and say, hey, you're welcome to. All right, let's get out of the kitchen. In the kitchen, the only other thing you really need to note is to make sure the lights are off, but also the refrigerator door. There's a Velcro up that holds the freezer together. If that's not on there and you slam the refrigerator door, the freezer opens. And so that's on there to make so if you're at the end of the day or you're in there, make sure, because that's where we also store our shaved ice equipment and I'll talk about that in a second. Over here we have 12 up here we have kitchen hosts only. We do not let hikers in the kitchen. You have the capacity to make that decision, but as a general rule, if you didn't invite them to go in there and they walk in there because the door happened to be open, I'm sorry, we actually only allow hosts in the kitchen. Is there something you need? Many reasons. We found canisters of fuel stored on top of shaved ice equipment. We have found a young woman doing her underwear and sink in the kitchen sink. We found people just digging around drawers. We don't want that. That's where we keep the extra cash, in the drawer. We just don't want that. That's where the phone is. We don't want that. So the door can remain. Either you can shut the door so no one can go in there, or there's a little strip here. You want me to do it? Here, you can do it on the video. Ready? Ready? Ooh, you got it. Oh, I'm out of here. There you go.
Almost
Still
there.
back there.
Okay,
All right, ready?
good.
Here we go. All right, here. Oh. And it just attaches down like that. But that, honestly, if you want to leave the kitchen door open, that's really one of the best ways you can do it. But that just says this is not for you. Trash is here and over there. We smash it down. We take most of our trash as a church in the summer comes from the hikers. In fact, the vast majority of it does. I would say 80% of the trash that we pay for in the summer, part of our ministry. And honestly, it's a ministry to the town too, because if we weren't disposing of their trash, then the town would have to dispose of that and be charged for it. So it's a hidden part of our ministry. Smash it down. You don't have to take the trash out. Just leave it in there, and one of us will see when it needs to come through, and we'll take it out, because those trash bags are big. If you want to take it out, some of you know that there's a key in Darley Hall and the little drawers in the kitchen. If that's your prerogative, take it out, but we don't want to sort of, we're going to give a key. Well, actually, I probably should get a key, but we don't want you dragging these big old bags of stuff out, okay? Those of us who are more able to throw those over the thing. And honestly, that dumpster reeks all the time. So, dirty dishes here. This is where we want them. Some of them we'll leave them up there, but we want them to put them all here. So that way we can take them at the end of the night, we put them in the washer. There's a clean, dirty thing in there that you can use. Microwave, we moved it out this year. It says the food only, clean up after use. That we expect them to do that. There's some cleaning stuff here. This is also the cleaning stuff for the tables at the end of the night. If you're done with the night, these 2 yellow tables, I usually wipe off this counter too. There's some non-toxic spray, so you don't have to worry about it. I still would clear food off the counter first. But spray that stuff, wipe that down. They should be wiping down the migrate themselves. Cardboard and recycling here, we only, as you may not know, we only in Lake City recycle corrugated cardboard. So all those those boxes of foods that you buy, and then they cut they shrink them down. We can't take those, we just gotta throw them away. Unless one of you wants to start a mission to take it up, you gotta say. So it has to have the little waves in it and be compressed. It could be very small, but it has to, for whatever reason. Where are we at? 16, 17, charging stations. It's a mess. I see chargers have gone missing. I don't know where, that little, the magnetic stand is gone. But those are there. They love that. Sometimes they'll plug in their stuff in other plugs. It's fine. Let them use the outlets as they will. In case you're wondering, this just says the dots. This is our last year's. We have 32 different countries in every state but North Dakota, and I just left them up there because I thought, you know what, they may want to see where people were last year. We'll take it, and we'll just.
It really is cool to look at the light coming through it.
Yes,
It really is neat.
and it does say that. Look through the pinholes. Best work. It doesn't work at night at all. You can look all you want, but it's not gonna. Nothing's going to appear. And just where are we at? 18. So if this says filtered water and hand washing. Outside, that little wooden structure out there has filtered water. There's an actual filter under there. They can use that to fill their water bottles. It's just a hand washing station. It really is used more during the meals than anything else. Most hikers don't use it because we're not that busy. 18, 19. We have a computer available here. They can get online. It does not require any password. You just have to turn it on the button over here. Usually it should be on in the morning, and when it's on, you go down like any computer to one at the bottom of the start, and it just says hiker, I think, something like that effect, and it goes straight on. Obviously, they can use it as they need to. Most of the time, our printing works. I can't always guarantee it, but if you ever have a printer, if you ever have an issue and a hiker wants something printed, just text me, call me, track me down, and I'll print it over at the church. You'll also see around the space, this free Wi-Fi is here, and they're all over they're on every wall at some different place. But you'll see those signs everywhere. That's 19. 20 is our art project, and this is just the beginning of this year's. Not too many of them. But this is actually the 5th year we'll be doing it. This was in conjunction with Lake City Arts, and they actually provide all the materials for us. And we have stacks of these, and the hope is next summer we'll do a 5-year display of 5 years of Continental Divide, and I'm sort of envisioning it on little blocks of wood, all sort of geometric, laying out in some way. But the materials here, what I have noticed, and are we out? I think we are out. Maybe. No, they're still. If you this is our last one, so I'll get some more, but if there ever is low, if you're ever low on this and I don't know this, let me know, and we can just go over to the art center and grab some more. Sometimes hikers take them, that's okay. And there's some watercolors and things they can do, play with that. Over here, you have our information. Number 21 is where our information is in our restaurant guide. Chloe has put together a guide that has all of the information for all of the restaurants, so they can look ahead, and she's also asked, in the front of this, there will be a discount page. If the trail hikers say that they're on the trail, they'll mostly 10%, but I think there was 120% and there are other things. So we're curating some stuff for that. We'll also have information about accommodations, a list so that they can go. And that way you can review that. We'll know what the costs are. Some places like North Face Lodge, where Barb and Hugh are, sometimes it's just by random, and you may have to call. There are varying levels, and it'll indicate. Most of them are going to end up at the RV park, which is the River Fork RV Park, at the end near the fire station of the end of Henson. And it's about $30. The information will be in here. But that's where most of them go. They get laundry, they get a shower, and they can camp. And they also have a cabin. The next place they'll probably end up once it opens is above Euphoria. Breakfast hangout. They're opening up a 14-bed hostel that will have laundry as well, and some incentive to go down to the restaurant. And I think it's going to be a very popular place. I think we're going to lose our Euphoria breakfast hangout to hikers this summer, which is great. So if you want to hang out with hikers, that's a great place to go. But that's where, so they'll have 14 beds down there, and they'll have laundry. So hopefully between that and our services, we'll be able to cover it. But you'll be able to give them that information. They'll be able to say, I don't want to spend a lot of money. You can, and then you can always hike down the street. And that'll be in the guide as well, where you can hike, where they can camp. down near the beer garden or just anywhere. Yeah, Linda.
How much does it cost at Euphoria for them?
They're still working out that, did they give you a price? They said, I think they said that it was gonna be around 40. But I think it depends on what they offer in terms of, they hadn't figured out just the cost. I mean, honestly, with the rise of water bills, I think it's one of the biggest challenges that laundry in general suffer at. Number 21, so that's number 21. Our information 22 are the hiker boxes. The smaller one is for non-food items. And it's overflowing, and every now and then we have to clean it out. If anyone wants a pair of snowshoes, we have them in the closet. Because no one's going to use those for the rest of the summer. This is food. You can organize this, but this is kind of like me. I don't know. This is the no man. This is like you don't go in the zone. I don't. I let whatever happens in this hiker box stays in this hiker. You're welcome to organize it. If you ever do see loose food, you can dump that out. But in general, if it's a food product and it doesn't look like it's spoiled, you just leave it there, and that's their jam, right, Joe? Yeah. And if you don't know, this is Toey. He's been with us all week. I introduced him this morning. He's a CT hiker from last year. Number 23 up here is put a pin in it. That's it. We just want to see where they're from. They can put them in it. The pins are all over there. Number 24, I don't remember what it is, but that does have a number, and I'm dropping it off the top of my head. Oh, number 24 is, I need another, is the door, when the door is shut. Our shuttles is a reminder of the shuttles, that they leave at 11. Now, this is majorly different, because in the past, hiker shuttles have always left at 12, for like the last 10 years. We're shifting it for the reasons being of it falls in line with our host shifts. So what happens is if you are signed up, and if you didn't know this, you may need to switch out. If you are signed up for a 9 to 11 shift on a morning, 9 to 11, this is called the super host shift. Are you 9 to 11? You switched to a 9 to 11 this year. A super host shift is called that because they are the second shuttle driver if we need them. In other words, rather than trying to call a shuttle driver from nowhere and say, oh, we have some extra people, we'll have one official shuttle driver, and we'll have the host who just served from 9 to 11, and then they are available to also go up, which means that on any given day, we will have at least 2 people that will be able to drive, and that should, for the most part, cover. The rest of it will come out of the emergency or backup shuttle drivers in the same way the Laundry Angels work. We text everyone and say, we have 7 hikers. Can any of you come out and take them up? And that's it. That's for the cycle. Thank you, Chloe. Nicely done. Give her a hand clap. All right, a few other things. So the way that if you are and I brought the sheets over, they're not over there. The first one here is the shuttle drivers. We have lots of gaps to fill in. If you can only volunteer for a day and your car seats 4 people, please sign up for those. There's also the backup shuttle drivers. We probably have about 10 on there. That's pretty good. But if you want to sign up for that, we'll add you to that text list, and I'll text you if we need them. The next one after that is hosts for this week. If you haven't signed up and you have time this week to do one of those hosts. If you don't, then it's Chloe's job to cover those, so you're giving her a gift to be able to work on other things. And if you want to be a trail hiker angel, even though there's only 2 slots left or 3 slots left, you can just fill them out there. Again, you don't have to pick up the laundry, and you don't have to answer if you're a backup driver. You just have to be on there and available. And if you are available and willing to in the moment, we'll pull you in. So I said this morning, but the way the shuttles are going to work is we're going to have a log starting July 1st that when you come in, we will mark out how many are going with you, who you are, and then you are to then come back in after you drop. Even if no one comes, you either need to call the host that was here or come back and say no one came down. We want to track up and down, so we ask you to come back here anyways and let us know, or at least connect with the host and let them know so they can fill out the log. This will tell us patterns in terms of coming in and coming out. It also helps us identify who is actually being on a shuttle run. And as I said this morning, we had $1,200 donated to our hiker center to do $5 supplements for rides up to the mountain. It's not going to pay for your gas probably, but it will supplement that. If you're doing it all summer, it can add up. You don't have to accept it, but we're going to take those names and we're going to make an offer to you. And I would invite you to do that because that's what it's for. Just because you're taking your time doesn't mean gas is expensive, and so we're gonna supplement it in that way. And part of the rationale for that is that that we don't want their donations. And I don't want anyone to say, I'd really like to do this, but I can't afford to. Because I can't, I don't want to pay for, because they feel like, a tank of gas is prohibitive for them to participate. So that's the way the shuttles will work. What else do we have? Shuttles, dinners will start at 5:30. That's why we started this at 5:30. If you are on the sign-up sheet to help set up, I would suggest you be here around 4:30, no earlier than that. But I'll say this, there are folks in our congregation who like to get here super early and set up. So sometimes when you arrive, things are already done, because sometimes people just are like, I got nothing to do, I'm gonna go over there at 3 and set up for the hiker room. As we did it last year, you know what the meals are. This year, you know what the theme is. You try to bring something in that theme. As long as you're here about 10 till before the meal, you're usually pretty good. We usually gather everyone in. This year we're going to do things a little differently. We are going to actually there's a table out over here on this side where those old benches outside, there are going to be a bunch of bins out there, and we're going to ask everyone to bring their dishes, and I'll announce that before each meal, to bring their dishes to the bins. It's an easier access to go back and forth for our people doing dishes. It doesn't have to be walked through, and there's nothing wrong with asking people to, now, if you want to go at the end to collect stuff because you're wanting to gather and people are just hanging out, that's one thing. But in general, that'll be sort of the location or the depot for the laundry, or for the dishes. Thanks, I'm tired. The last thing I want to say to all of you in terms of what we do or what we offer is we do hiker prayers in this room on Saturday night at 8. They're in Taizé. It's about a half an hour of Taizé prayers. There's a space to sit on the floor. There's chairs to sort of sit around. We turn off the lights. There's just these overhead lights and some candles. It's contemplative. It's peaceful. There's no message. We sing for about a half an hour, 20 minutes to a half an hour, depending on. There's a period of silence. And really, it's a place for hikers who come in early for the meal, who are Christians, who are spiritual seekers, to come and to find some respite. I want to highly encourage you to join us. I got to tell you, I don't know if you've ever prepared for the Lord's Day worship on Sunday, but it changes the way you view Sunday morning worship. When you start your evening on Saturday night with a place of contemplation. It frames your Saturday evening. It's generally the last thing I do. I clean up here and go home and take care of some few things before. And last year I loved it. I had never done these before, and it was something new last year. But the idea of sort of saying, I am entering into a space of worship mentally. It's like a pre-prelude on Saturday night. I would invite you at least once to join us. If it's not your thing and you don't want to do chants and you don't want to do that, then that's fine. But I would invite you to participate in that, because it's something we're going to push with the hikers a little bit more.
What time is that, Jason?
8 o'clock on Saturdays, right here. Okay, that's it for me. I think that so now I'm going to open it up to just questions. If there's any questions, John or Marcia or Chloe or Silas, do you have anything you want to add that I've forgotten?
We do have the website.
Oh, yes. Connections. Yes, we mentioned that back there. If you have not visited our website, you should. And the times are corrected. Thank you, David Cherry. Was that like a clock thing?
One was a time zone issue.
A time zone
I'm
issue.
Central, and we're.
Gotcha. So when you updated it, changed the times. I was like, that's weird. We've never done
But
it
the
at
other one,
4:30.
you said when you only ran from Monday to Saturday, well,
Oh.
now on Sunday, so the original.
So it obviously
But
went.
the other thing is there is a host's component, and it's protected.
Oh,
But a password. And in there, you can get who's currently on the host list, who's on, what open slots we have, and all that information is there. The password is hands.
We'll put it in the guide.
They'll put it in. Okay.
And you'll have everyone's numbers too, so everything will be in there. You'll have all the hosts who volunteered, all their numbers, so you can call them, and we'll make sure you have that. So
Yeah.
Chloe and I will be working on that later this week.
Meaning sheep. Just kidding. Chris. Oh, yes. So days of the week, yes, we're still doing this. Once the meals start, which will be next Monday, the days of the week, and that's on the website as well. That's why it's good if you just sort of familiarize yourself with the information there. Mondays are leftover days. So usually we take whatever's left over on a hiker meal, we shove it in the refrigerator and we just bring it out. And they love it. Tuesdays have traditionally been cinnamon roll days, but we have said this year, and we will do them on Tuesdays still, but if you make them, I'll keep getting them. So you are, everyone, every host is always welcome, except Jim, to make cinnamon rolls. Because Jim's like, it's 5 to 5. Maybe we should make some cinnamon rolls. Always take a couple home. You can always do. I have to take them home now. So Tuesdays are cinnamon rolls days. There's parchment paper in there. There's pans in there. You know how to use an oven. And the other thing is you are allowed to let hikers use the kitchen with your supervision. That means you're in the building and have eyes on what they're doing. We don't, because if it's a free-for-all, I've seen that thing get taken over. So that is up to you. I don't let hikers do it personally, unless there's an emergency, unless there's a real need. That's not the business we're in. We're not a hostel with a free-for-all kitchen. Wednesdays are donut days, and Chris and Linda are our amazing donut team, and they produce those. And so, you're welcome to come in for a donut throughout the day. They make those from 10 to about 12 or 11 or something like that. They're available usually in the morning. Thursdays are our shaved ice day, as we have a shaved ice machine, and there are some cylinders in there. And if you want to learn, and that's for you too, come out. I think it's 3 to 5 we do those or maybe it's 4 to 5. I don't remember. On a Thursday afternoon, it's on the website. Fridays are popcorn days. There's an air popper in there. There's if you're here on a Friday, anytime throughout the day, pop some popcorn. We have lots of shake seasonings, and there's butter and so there's all the supplies you need to make some popcorn. Saturdays we don't do anything other than offer the prayers in the evening. So good question. Thanks, Chris. Anything else? Yeah.
Last year I had somebody who asked if they could leave their tax there.
Yes, so our policy is yes, and I generally say we always have a host here. So we're always sort of available. If they're concerned, that back there at number 8, stay connected, that closet has a little gap in front of it, and you can stick them back there. In general, most of them are fine though. So yeah, David.
For the host driver, for the shuttle driver.
Yes.
If we come like at 11.
Yes.
And nobody's here to go up, aren't we supposed
Yes,
to go up?
good. Yes, good.
And then the same thing at 6 or whatever it is. 5.
It is, yes. So thank you. So if you are a shuttle driver, if you arrive here at 11 to pick up and there's no one here, you still have to go up. Because there could be people up there waiting to come down. It's a double-sided shuttle. And we'll probably do the Sunday shuttle, just how I normally do it on Sunday mornings. I say, does anyone want to run up at 4? It's one more sheet that I don't want to have to track. I'd rather just do it live. So, but thanks, David. That's a great reminder.
The backup driver,
Jimmy.
we're going up, but if there's more than we can handle coming down.
Then, so what happens is if you get up there and there's more than you can handle coming down, there is reception up there. Call Chloe or text Chloe or me, and that'll again be on your badge host or your thing. It'll have those numbers. You can text us and say there are still 3 hikers up here, and we will then do the shuttle backup shuttle drivers, and we'll dispatch them as needed. This is an electric thing that I'm going to demonstrate how it works here.
Yeah. For hosts, when someone comes in, like you just took us through like all the
Yes.
numbers and everything, but what do you suggest? Like, how do we orient them?
That's what I do.
You do the whole thing. Okay.
I do it much faster.
Yeah.
I'm like, please sign in. We don't accept donations from hikers, so don't try. These are some snacks and toiletries for you. If you want to drink from the hot machine over there, there's the mugs. These are our socials. Here's the bathroom. We don't allow showers. Literally at that pace.
I've called it the 360 tour.
Yeah, the 360 tour. And it's helpful, honestly, if they're going to hang out here, it tells them what's available. And that's on the site, but it just sort of gives them an orientation. If they look around, they can determine. This system is designed for you more than it is for them. Because that way you always remember and you always have pointers about what we offer. So, yes, back.
Trail names are okay for the sign-in?
Trail names are okay. There's a spot for trail. So yeah, I have it over here. This year we printed up sheets. So every page has this up top. We're really trying to get one hiker per page. So really, if there's 2 hikers, one per line, 20 hikers per page, and that way it's easier to count. And so sometimes if I see that there are 2 hikers on the same line, like Ben and Susan, if I catch it, I will actually take a line, draw here, go down here, and point it to that and flip the page. Because it just makes it easier to track in the long haul. There's 20 per page, there's enough for 1,000. So if this book gets filled, some of them like to go around and back and look at it, that's fine. What I will say is I need to get a clip for this. We need to get a clip for this, guys, remember, thanks. Love having it. We need to get a clip for us because this thing flies around and we don't want pages flying from it, so we'll probably get one of those little, alligator clips and that'll be at the bottom. But this is important. And in fact, on your thing, it's gonna say, please sign in, right about somewhere, I'm gonna fit it, host, please sign in. That's the first year, no, I won't do that. But that's the most important thing, I mean, it's not the most important thing, but it is the most important thing. Yeah, Elam.
Jason, one thing is don't never give up if you have some really hard to deal with hikers. We had at one time 10 people here, 2 girls and 8 guys that met each other before, and they did not want to split up. And I said, well.
You mean for the shuttle?
Yeah, well, no, they were gonna hitchhike, but they wanted to all go at the same time, and I said, that's almost impossible. Well, I had to go to the grocery store or something, I was coming out of town, and there was a cowboy with a great big trailer. So I went over the hill and I said, hey, there's a cowboy over there with a trailer, I don't know what he's been hauling, but if he was nice enough to come get y'all, would y'all get in the trailer?
Yeah.
I said, sure. Turned around, went up there, and a young guy, and it was a 25-foot trailer. I said, I'm gonna tell you something really quick. Told him what we were doing here. And I said, there's some people over there that wanna go to the top of the mountain because they wanna go tonight, and they all wanna go together. And I said, what are you hauling? He said, I'm hauling horses. I said, that's great. Cows would not work, pigs would not work, but that would work. So I said, think about it if you want to do it. I said, 2 girls, and they're pretty cute. They would get in on the passenger side and ride, and put the 8 guys in the trailer. I went back and told them, and they said, yeah, we can do it. So I took off. I had to call Kay, I was going home. And I looked in the rearview mirror, he pulled up. They opened the driver's side, so I said, he's gonna take him. I never saw him again, never heard from him. So when you have, sometimes God just puts something in front of you.
Maybe so. And to that end, because one of the questions people have is, if you have a truck, you are allowed to take hikers in the back of a bed of a truck. They have to be seated. That's the rule. But legally, you can take them in Colorado, and if they choose to get in there. So yeah, if you have situations, for anything that raises your, spidey sense, like this isn't right, call me, text me, and say, please get over here now. Because I want to make sure that you never feel like you're a threat. Just so you know, smile, you're on camera. I don't have a number up there, but there is a sign, so people are aware that that's happening. I just want you to know that you are under surveillance, and when I leave hikers here, if I go outside, if I got to run back to the church, I'll tell them that, just so you know you're on camera. We're not, we're not monitoring it, but we are recording it, and they don't need to know and I don't watch it. But if something happens, also dog policy, in case you didn't know, 1 dog okay, 2 dogs go outside. Unless they came together. In other words, unless they're friends, it's fine. If you want to bring your dog in here, that's fine too. Same policy. We just don't want dogs fighting. So if you can, so other than that, then they can take them outside. Okay, any other questions? Yeah.
One thing, Jason, when the sick hiker came
Yeah.
last year, he was in here, we asked him nicely
Yeah.
because of spreading.
Oh, yes.
So that's important to know if we do happen to have another sick.
If you have a sick hiker, call me and stick them on the back porch.
Yeah, they need to be outside.
So, Tony,
Are we covered under any liability coverage?
for what? For driving? No.
Driving and.
For what happens on the property, yes, we are not extending our coverage to drivers, so you are driving at your own risk. For your own liability, yeah. You're just, we're facilitating The connection, in other words, is the way we're gonna look at it.
But Colorado has a good Samaritan law too.
Yep, so. All right, anything else? Yes, Mary?
Probably most of the hosts are a couple.
Yes.
But not entirely. Do you always have two hosts or sometimes just one?
No, sometimes there's just one. Karen was our Sunday morning host. I keep trying to get her to come to church, she refuses, but. She's like, just. Yes, Toby.
The hiker, I just want to say from the hiker community, thank you so much for what y'all are doing here. Through Hike the Triple Crown, this is special for all the reasons like Jason said, so thank you.
Which means he has been on practically in every trail town. So, until he,
One of the best.
yeah. We have something special here, folks, so. I'm always available for questions. We're working to work on getting this guide put together, and by the end of the summer, it'll be amazing, and you'll have everything you need. Chloe.
Mine is not too interesting, but just because we didn't note it, we have wipes back here. If you're the morning shift, we do have a checklist. We like to wipe down the tables. Also, if you're the ending shift, clean tables, clean chairs, anything they could have maybe touched, sometimes handles. And then if you're gonna start the dishwasher, we have Tide Pods in the cabinet beneath the sink. And that, I mean, just if it gets full, just start it, but you don't have to do it every single time someone puts stuff in there. Sometimes it's not always the end of the day, just whenever it gets full, we like that to get done, so that's my main knowledge.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chloe. All right, thank you.
Thank you.